Ben, let's go to Israel and, Chatham House, first of all.
Yeah, so I've got two short videos, two very different opinions of what's going on the ground in Israel and what should happen next.
Okay, I'm going to come to the next. Here you go. Thank you.
My name's Jonathan Paris. I want to pick up on Lori's comments on the current crisis. Really not about the Middle East, it's about Israel. And to understand the crisis, again, you have to understand what a devastating calamity this is and what a loss of deterrence this is. To see Israel suffer 1,400 casualties, nearly all civilian, nearly all old people or young people, many of them babies. To restore that deterrence will require certain actions by Israel. The United States understands that. So when you say the United States is saying yes, but I think the Israeli answer will be, well, we'd like you to support us and we will do what we can. We'll delay this, but we will do what's necessary to restore our deterrence, because Hezbollah will or will not enter the war, not because of US warships, but because they will be afraid that what's going to happen to Hamas will happen to them, as it did in 2006. In other words, they're more afraid of real Israeli power unleashing real damage to Lebanon than they are of these theoretical warships that may or may not be used. So that's point number one. Israel will go it alone without Biden if they have to. They have a window here because they have the support of Biden and they have this cause. And they've paid, as Amos Yavin says, they've already paid the price. So when you say it's too much of a price to go into Gaza because you lose all those soldiers, they've already paid the price. So they're going to move, I think, to restore the deterrence. So how do you restore deterrence? That's my question. It's so difficult when you lose something so valuable. How do you get it back? Will it take just this war, or will it take a series of war, or will ultimately take, escalating until they really defang the Iranian nuclear program, which is, I think, the end goal of Israel right now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they're putting out into the world. The body language and that statement were absolutely remarkable. That was at Chatham House in the past couple of weeks, a discussion about the staying power of American power. That's what it was called. And that's essentially what we're being asked to line up behind. Unquestioningly, they want a war. They want their deterrence back. They've already paid the price. Fascinating terminology there. And ultimately, with that gentleman, it sounds like he has some inside knowledge into what Israel are thinking. He wants a war with Iran, right? Now, a second interview or second video at the opposite end of the scale.
Britain and America are tied together like intertwined knots with the Israeli state. And that is why they fear this demonstration today. Because us speaking out in Britain, one of the closest allies, and indeed the people who helped establish Israel in the first place, the Balfour Declaration and 1948. The British are directly intertwined with every element of the establishment of Israel and the maintenance of the tyranny over the Palestinian people. And if we stand up and we defeat the British government, then the Israeli government will surely fall, because Britain, America and Israel are the most closely intertwined states on earth. Sometimes in history, there are a few knots which have to be broken, Gordian knots that have to be broken in order to bring down the existing order in the world. And this is not, I say this to Tommy Robinson, this is nothing to do with Islam. Nothing to do even with the Muslims. Many Palestinians are Christians. Many Palestinians are atheists. And it's certainly not anti-Semitic, because the Palestinians are Semitic people. This is a tyranny. They have used Israel to tyrannize the people of the Middle East. And by the way, the governments of the Middle East, Egypt and Syria, They are supporting Israel by their utter and total silence in the face of barbarity carried out against the Palestinian people.
Amazing speaker there, Heiko Khoo, talking about the knot that must be broken. And what is the knot? Yeah, it's that integration of the United States, the UK, and the Israeli governments. How does that manifest? Well, we've already talked about it earlier this week. Mike talked on Wednesday about the Conservative Friends of Israel. We also have the Labour Friends of Israel. We have the fact that you can't say a single word about plans, obvious and advanced plans for one world governance without being accused of anti-Semitism. The blind commitment of our politicians of all parties to Israeli warmongering in Gaza. Boris Johnson, who's a war criminal, essentially marching against anti-Semitism on the streets of London in the past couple of weeks. The UK Health Tech Advisory Board, which we've covered extensively. Debbie's talked about it in the past couple of weeks, the past month, which includes Nicole Junkerman on the board, who's deeply connected with Mossad. The prevalence of Israeli pharmaceuticals in the NHS supply chain, the fact that ARIA, which is the UK version of DARPA, is run by an American-Israeli citizen overseeing the use of £800 million of UK taxpayer money to invest in innovation and advanced technologies? Is it the fact that our universities have been infiltrated by Israeli secret agents? Is it the fact that McKinsey's London office, McKinsey, the global management consulting firm, their London office now actually oversees the UK and Israel? Those two entities, those two nations have been combined operationally by McKinsey, a fascinating development there. Is it the Balfour Declaration? Is it the fact that Lord Rothschild is sitting in the House of Lords? Is it all of these things that we're looking at? You know, I think Khoo, like him or loathe him, I think he's a fascinating character who's got it bang on the money. The question really for all of us is what to do about it.
Indeed. Vanessa, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to respond to that a little bit, because the one thing that I thought you should comment on was Heiko Khoo's comment about Syria, support of Israel by their silence. I think that deserves a little bit of comment.
Yeah, definitely. I would 100% disagree with that claim. One of the reasons that the war has been waged against Syria for 12 years is because of their long-term support for the Palestinian cause and their current releasing territory for the Palestinian factions to actually attack the Israeli settlements within Golan territories. And of course, the ongoing aggression that Syria suffers from Israel itself. I think yesterday we had an attack. So I would strongly disagree with the claim that Syria is silent on this. It's very far from silent. It's actually the longest term supplier of weapons to the Palestinian resistance.
Okay, now let's move on to the